Welcome to another r/AskReddit by Reddit Tales. People who have survived an attempted murder. What is your story? Had a girl cut my brake lines on my car. Didn't know until we checked the camera from the apartment complex. Luckily she cut straight through them vs slitting them. When I attempted to crank the car, the brake pedal went straight to the floor and I immediately knew something was wrong. Don't leave us hanging, dang it. What happened to her? Till slit don't slice. Damn, I thought the same. Wanna try it for science? Random dude shot me in the chest because he thought I was my drug dealer neighbor. My neighbor was 6'3" and black. I'm 5'11" and white. Jokes on him. All he got were a few cigarettes, some pocket change, and 35 years on an attempted second-degree homicide conviction. My older sister tried to stab me with a large knife in an attempt to kill me on my 16th birthday. My mother grabbed the knife off her before it got my stomach and slammed her against the fridge and yelled at me to run. Last time I saw my older sister she said, "I've gotten over it and you should too. It's pathetic to hang on to it." She then told people it was self-defense because I tried to hurt her. I was literally eating my birthday breakfast. I didn't sleep properly for 2 years while she was in the house because she constantly tried to break into my room at night to slit my throat while I slept. I hate her. This happened a couple weeks ago. It was 4 AM on a Monday night, playing Rust with some friends and my curtains were slightly open. All of a sudden I hear a loud pop and my monitor jumps and starts smoking. The screen is completely fucked, like I had thrown it on the ground, and I was utterly confused as to what happened. Turns out someone was looking for someone to hurt. When they saw me through the window, they thought they had found their victim. A .22 pistol bullet was shot through my window at my chest and was stopped by my monitor. Who knows how long I was aimed at or why they wanted to hurt someone. All I know is I got really lucky and I should send a thank you card to Asus. I delivered a pizza to a house just outside of the city. On the way back, I stopped to help a car that pulled over in front of me with their hazard lights on. I pulled up beside them and thought it was weird that nobody rolled down a window or made any kind of contact with me for around 15 seconds. The passenger then jumped out of his side of the car yelling that they needed help as he made his way toward my car. I thought something was weird about this. As I started to pull away, before he could get to my passenger door, he began shooting at me. I ducked my head after the first shot entered through the back window and embedded in my passenger seat headrest. Another shot entered through the rear window, while the other 3 only hit the outside metal parts of my car. He missed altogether with another shot. I remember being sure I was about to die as he fired more shots at me. I was very surprised that it wasn't panicky. It was just like, oh, I guess this is it. Turns out it was a plot to rob me. The pizza was ordered and the guys were stationed down the road to intercept me. They knew who I was and they knew that I would be able to recognize them as I had delivered a few orders to them before. The guy wasn't wearing anything to cover his identity, which leads me to believe that he would have shot and killed me if he would have made it inside my car. By the next morning they had all been arrested. The shooter was found guilty of attempted murder and sentenced to 40 years in prison. He later appealed that sentencing because there was a word wrong in the jury instructions. He won the appeal and ended up being sentenced to 10 years and was released November of 2010 after 5 years. The remaining 5 years were to be served as parole/probation. He was arrested twice for parole/probation violation when he was only a couple months away from total freedom. I laughed. TLDR. Some people tried to murder me for pizza money. They shot. They missed. They got caught. They did time, but not enough, then did more. I feel like I'm very late to the party, but my uncle was attempted murdered by random and pure bad luck. He was living in a high-rise and some crackhead pressed every single buzzer. Someone let him in out of laziness/not caring/wanting the buzzer to stop. The crackhead proceeded to knock on every single door down the hallways and my uncle is the first to answer the door. The crackhead pulls out a pair of scissors and plunges them into his throat. The crackhead then nonchalantly walks out of the building and says to a passing couple, "You should probably call the police because I just murdered someone." He was picked up very quickly and my uncle survived for a year or two before his epilepsy killed him. Edit in addition, it was a very small world, as my uncle went to school with this crackhead 30 years earlier and knew his name to identify him. Not that there needed any more evidence in the case. My parents moved to Mozambique during the mid-90s. I was around 8 at the time and started going to school there, a nice private one. Can't complain. My father was working for the Red Cross in Chimoio, so we had a comfortable life. One day, before arriving to school with a friend of mine, some sketchy guy stopped us, offered a whole bunch of money to just take some small box to a white van that was parked at the end of the street, not even 100 meters away. My lucky day, I guessed. It actually was, but for different reasons. When I was going to go grab the box, my friend grabbed me by the shirt, pushed me, and started running, screaming, something I didn't understand in Shona, the local dialect. That moment was when it clicked. The moment I looked back, the guy had already vanished. So, wherever you are, thank you, Chewed. I will never forget you. My mom attempted to murder me and my sister when we were younger. She was going through a psychotic episode and pretty suicidal, and I said the wrong thing. That set her off. She chased us down to the basement with a knife. We ran into my room and my sister hid in the closet while I tried to fight my mom off at the door. She was trying to push it open while I was trying to push it closed. It was a back and forth struggle until she put her hand in the door. I think she was trying to engage my non-violence because she thought I wouldn't shut the door on her hand, but I slammed the door over and over again until her fingers broke. Meanwhile, my dad, who was in the house, finally came downstairs to check in what was happening. Mind you, this all happened very fast and my dad has a habit of zoning out when my mom gets in her episodes. He ended up pulling her off of the door and my sister and I ran out of the house and jumped in our van. He drove around the corner and turned off the lights and we all ducked down in our seats to hide and stayed there until my dad saw her drive our other car off. When I was a kid, probably around 2nd grade, our house got robbed and my mom and I came home while it was in progress. For whatever reason, she decided to go in and interrupt them. She grabbed her gun, didn't shoot, yelled at them to get the fuck out of my house, and then we drove off in a hurry to the corner store to call the cops. This was before cell phones. Less than 2 weeks later, my mom and I are sitting in the living room on the couch, our backs to the front door. Someone drives by and fires about 6 or 8 shots into the front of our house. Thank God for a steel front door. The cops came and said they didn't think the 2 incidents were related. I was 13. My mother was screaming, legit screaming, not the yelling that a lot of people call screaming. They're different, trust me, at me because I made a tuna sandwich for lunch and didn't make one for her. She was a courier and I never knew when she would be home and when she wouldn't. These were the days before everyone had a cell phone and she frequently bought lunch on the road. I was done with lunch before she got home, but she still flipped. I was selfish, a horrible daughter, etc. Anyway, as she was screaming, I was backing away from her until I was pressed against the sink cabinet. She kept coming towards me. I swear to God, before I knew what was happening or could process/register, she had the scissors out of the knife block in her hand and she was still coming towards me, scissor points directed at me. I screamed bloody murder. My brother came rushing out of his room, right off the kitchen, as she started swinging them down at my throat. He caught her hand maybe 2 inches away from my skin, and she was coming at me with enough force that there was still some forward momentum for him to counter. If he had not been there, they would have been buried in my throat. To this day, she doesn't understand why I have nothing to do with her, and the closest thing I've ever received to an apology was "I'm sorry you're not over that." Yeah. She's since been diagnosed as a narcissistic sociopath. Imagine my utter lack of surprise. Thanks for watching. Like the video if you enjoyed. Comment with your own stories. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to be notified of future videos.